Good day. My name is Professor Oliver, and you've joined me for another writing lesson for English 030 and 101. The subject of today's conversation will be forecasting in our writing. We're going to learn how certain parts of the academic essay can help our readers understand what's supposed to come next, so that we, for ourselves, and that our readers know whether or not we're staying on track and keeping organized in our writing, and also whether or not our writing is overall focused and doing what it's supposed to do, or at least what we said that it was going to do. So, first of all, I want to talk about the very basic parts of the essay. We're going to go into this in quite a bit more detail in class, but I want to just give you a general overview. Parts of the paragraph is also important because one of the things you have to realize is that if you don't have all the parts that you need for a very focused conversation, then it kind of makes it difficult for you to have a more elaborate conversation, as with the academic essay. And then I want you to understand how and why this general formatting of an essay will work for you most of the time. And so if you are following through with the very general formatting rules, you will understand that your essays will ultimately stay focused, organized, and be overall very effective, at least with regard to the goals that you've set as a writer. So, the essay. Essays generally have three parts, and those parts are the introduction, the body paragraphs, and the conclusion. We're going to talk very briefly about what all of those elements mean, but essentially if you don't have things in order, it makes it very difficult for a reader to follow along with you as you write. So, with regard to introductions, and again, we're going to go into detail about this quite a bit more, so don't fret that we're not really focusing today, but introductions help to ease us into the topic and the position that we're presenting regarding this topic. They also help our readers understand or identify whether or not they want to continue reading what we've written. So if you don't grab your readers from the outset of the writing, it makes it very difficult for a reader to continue reading. And we've all picked up something that was a little dry in the beginning, and realize how hard it made it for us to make it all the way through to the end, if we were indeed even successful. So you want to make sure that you're understanding that your readers need to continue, and so you want to put in elements that are going to make them want to continue. And then finally, your introduction should include your thesis statement, because if you don't have a thesis statement, that element that you are attempting to prove or show in your entire essay, then it makes it very difficult for our readers to know where this is going. And so you want to think about your thesis statement as being that element that helps to forecast your essay. If we know what's in the forecast, if we know what weather to expect, then we know how to prepare for that. And so the same thing holds true with our writing. If as writers, we know how to let our readers know what's to come, then we can very easily prepare them so that they are not shocked, dismayed, upset, want to put it down, so that they ease into our writing very, very easily, and again, want to continue on. Body paragraphs help to provide the platform or the space for that discussion that we need to have with the specific elements of our essays. So you want to recognize that depending on how long your essay needs to be, you're going to have more and more body paragraphs that help to support the elements you've presented in your introduction. And again, we're going to get into this quite a bit more in-depthly as the semester progresses, but for right now, you definitely need to know that paragraphs are specific, whereas the essay is the general statement that you have regarding your topic. So, keeping that in mind, when you are looking into specifics, you have to actually pull in examples that help to show or prove or illustrate what those specific aspects that you're discussing happen to be. And so you're going to make sure that you are choosing things that are very, very relevant to the actual specific point that you're discussing at that time during that paragraph. Body paragraphs also include a topic sentence. And topic sentences in and of themselves help to forecast the specific elements that will be discussed in that body paragraph. So you got forecasting on a very general scale, meaning with the thesis statement, and then you also have forecasting on a smaller scale, a more specific scale, with regard to your body paragraphs. And if you don't understand how topic sentences work, we're going to take a look at one so that you can see, because with a very general thesis statement, one that is expanded so that we know overall what we're trying to prove or show, you see kind of the potential for this type of forecasting. But with the topic sentence, you get more specific, and so you're only picking out one layer or one aspect that's being discussed. And that's why you have it forecasted on a smaller scale. So the topic sentence is just the topic of that particular paragraph. Conclusions are more than just the final paragraph of your essay. And I want folks to understand what that means, because ultimately what we tend to get is this very blanket statement of in conclusion or in summary or things like that. And that's not really what a conclusion happens to be. And so I do want you to recognize that you don't ever want to begin your conclusions with in conclusion. It's pedantic and quite elementary. You should have kind of left that behind in 8th grade. Instead, you want to think about conclusions as being your final chance to sum everything up, to put it all together, to make your final analysis, to make your overall statement about your justifications for having this particular discussion. So conclusions do all of that. And they might also leave your readers with some food for thought, because forecasting, of course, goes on even after they've read your paper. And so even though you've made your forecast with your thesis statement and you've made your mini forecast with your topic sentences, you're not leaving your reader cold at the very end of your essay, but rather you want them to continue thinking about this and to continue thinking about the consequences if they choose to go along with whatever it is you've presented in your paper. So, conclusions themselves have much potential. They might restate or paraphrase your thesis. They might offer an overall assessment of the issue or your whatever you've been discussing. They might offer a peek into the future, again leaving us with some food for thought so that we have some understanding about how we might take this further or how we might continue this discussion. And they also never offer new information. So if you have some new information to include, you want to think about where that might be more appropriately placed within the body of your essay, rather than in your conclusion, because that is not the place to include new information. That whenever you have new information, it's the time for discussion, not for overall assessment, which is what your conclusion is for. So I have an example here of forecasting, and I want you to see how this might overall give us an understanding about what's to come in this particular essay. So if the sentence is, to meet standards of both safety and equality, women and men should pass the same physical tests if they want to become firefighters, well, it should be hopefully obvious to see that this is forecasting in the way of a thesis statement, because we cannot discuss both safety and equality for men and women and all these other elements in one paragraph. It's just not possible. That scope is much too broad for a simple paragraph. So you want to hopefully see that this is a thesis statement, and so it is giving us an understanding of what's to come in an essay rather than just in a simple paragraph. Our next sentence, on the other hand, recognizing that the physical fitness tests are flawed, police and fire departments have been turning to different tests called physical agility exam, in which the applicant must complete an obstacle course. This gives us an understanding of what's to come in a specific paragraph, because it only names one thing that's to be discussed, and that is physical fitness tests. And so having this switch from physical fitness test to the physical agility exam allows us to have this discussion on a more specific and focused level. So we can perhaps see this writer going along with a little bit of comparison contrast, how one might be different from the other one, how one might benefit police and fire departments over the other one, how they might be perceived or judged different from the other one. And so you see, again, a more focused discussion being held after this sentence has been placed in the appropriate spot for a topic sentence. So, let's review. Today we've talked about the very general parts of the essay and the very general parts of the paragraph. And the reason that we've just done this is because I want you to see how topic sentences and thesis statements again help to forecast the reading that's supposed to come. And so if you know what you are going to put into your essay and you've let your readers know, it helps to keep both you, the writer, and the reader on task as far as whether or not you're staying focused, whether or not what you've presented is organized, and whether or not you've made sense and is what you've presented makes sense and is relevant to the specific issue that you've presented. This has been another lesson in writing for English 030 and 101. Again, my name is Professor Oliver, and if you have any questions, please see me in class. Thank you.